Welcome to another episode of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I think I hit all the buttons properly this time. Yep. All the things are unmuted and yep, Stream Deck's working. Okay, so welcome once again, everybody. Oh boy, oh boy. Let's do introductions and then we'll do the recap. And hello those in chat. We'll start down in the bottom right corner, as we usually do, with Kashcah.
Hi.
Who is the GM/DM or Dungeon Master of the campaign. 5th edition, Dungeons & Dragons, Tomb of Annihilation. And around the corner from her, we've got straight up Gao, who is an NPC, recently joined us. He's a little kobold that tends to ride on Rorax character's back and offer useful advice, if not useless. But at least is there for entertainment value. And then we have next to that Rorax, who plays Aelia, a Centaur Cleric of the Grave, who will not be with us today, at least not at this time. And then next to her we have Nerevar.
That's me. I'm just an ordinary human who happens to be a special sorcerer and who is commanding his ex-dragon idol on Arokh Ironscale.
And next to him we have Kellisto.
I'm Kellisto of the Bear God clan, and I am a half-elf druid.
And next to her we've got Lyssa, who will be without camera today, but is here.
Yes, I am Valia Bonesmasher. I am a Lizardfolk Barbarian, and my companion that I have with me is a adolescent Beak, and his name is...
I think it cut out there, but I will say his name is Flippy.
Flippy, yes, sorry.
Yes. And then next to her, we've got myself. I'm Vallen, and I will be playing Ulfgar Holderheck, a Dwarven Valor Bard and Divine Soul Sorcerer as of last episode. So, to recap, on our way to Omu, which is kind of like this big Raznasi area here, that we're looking for an undead dude that may have something to do with a soulmonger item that we're trying to destroy or capture or whatever, prevent from killing people again. En route to that, via the Valley of Lost Honor from the Dwarven Hold, Kellisto was getting her dreams invaded by a night hag, of which we were able to track down using Aelia's locate object spell from the dreams that she was receiving, though she was constantly being attacked in these dreams, and it ended up being physically harming to her in the end. But thankfully we were able to find her quickly, within a few days at least, the hag that is, and end any issues that she was currently giving us at that time. Though she has sisters and we have concerns.
Sister.
Mm-hmm.
Sister.
Basically, Kellisto beheaded her with her flaming scimitar to end the nightmare invasion. So yeah. And I think that was about it. We just got on the edge of where we're assuming Omu to be. If not Raznasi's home or base, or where Raznasi's base was. And we're currently trying to figure out if we're... actually, I think we were just about to settle down after that experience because we'd had several restless nights trying to keep Kellisto awake. And then we were planning on taking out first thing the next day in an effort to try and locate or figure out where we should try and find Omu, or how to find Omu in this very large area. Because each one of these hexes is like 20 miles or something? 10 miles. So that's like, that's quite a large space. It's like a 20-mile radius or 40-mile area that we have to try and search to find Omu or Raznasi. There you go. Kashcah, take it away.
Actually, it's you guys take it away because I think you're kind of at a decision point, right, about how to find Omu. And it's definitely an option for you to go wandering around until you find it. If you are going to do that, then I'm going to deploy a tactic where I will keep track of your actual location secretly. So so you elect somebody within your group to do a survival roll to navigate, and see if you can successfully navigate in the direction that you want to go in, right? And then I will keep track of whether you are successful or not, because wandering around the jungle is a little bit tricky, right? So it's tough to tell whether you are going the way you think you're going. And if I put a marker on the map, then you'll know for sure whether you are or not. So if you are going to wander around, I'm going to track your location in the GM layout of Roll20, so you won't be able to see where you are.
Okay.
So that's the thing if you're going to wander around. But this is why it's kind of over to you, because I think maybe there's been a little discussion about alternative tactics to try and figure out where you're going. So in that big old circle.
Well, I think first and foremost we were going to settle down for a long rest, because most of us are still pretty injured after that experience and battle that we had.
Okay.
I know that I'm at like half health and I've used most of my spells.
So you want to are you doing the hut?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the hut.
The hut.
The hut
then
of helpfulness.
You're able to take a long rest without interruption. So so you all can be fully healed and recharged on your spells again.
I would like to do an investigation check for any signs of civilization or any mark that there is or was a city nearby.
Yeah, make an investigation check if you haven't already. You how far are you searching, I guess? You're gonna kind of search like
excuse me. I'm not venturing far, but just wondering in the
Sorry, folks. My connection to Discord seems to have completely stopped. Everyone's paused, and I don't hear anything anymore. 1 second. Discord does seem to be dying. I don't know what the cause currently is. I'm sure it will recover shortly. It usually does when it has this problem. Come on. You can do it. Whoa. Hey, that's better.
Okay. Yay!
That was really weird.
I'm back.
Oh, Discord.
Actually, I ventured far enough so you won't be able to hear me.
Come back, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I was looking for search for any tracks of masonry, any building civilization, any roads, if there will be any visible.
Okay.
Do I find something?
So can you? I think right. What I didn't catch was how far you're searching.
Let's say around hour.
Okay.
Ulfgar might also suggest to Kellisto perhaps she could talk to some friends.
Oh, I didn't actually pick up that spell.
I was meaning like I'm sure there's like some small furry woodland creatures nearby.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps you could be like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, both Valia and I have that ability. I guess I have to look and see if there are any little creatures nearby.
So let's resolve
There's a
Nerevar
dwarf.
first.
Okay.
So Tobias, and are you sticking to the ground, or are you and Arokh kind of teaming up, or?
I'm kind of sticking to that to see if.
Okay.
And one more thing, tell me what is foliage? How deep foliage is above us?
It's pretty dense. You just catch small glimpses of the sky above. It's kind of like that's the tree canopy, right? It's yeah. You feel you could if you and Arokh were to go up, if he were to fly up, then you could kind of maneuver through it.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be.
So I'm going to do that after I'm done with searching for the signs of civilization on the ground.
Okay. So you spend an hour looking for that and do not find it.
So then I'm going to go fly up.
Okay. All right. And while you're searching, Kellisto is trying to find some small mammals to speak to.
Actually, I'm thinking maybe divination might be a better use of our time.
We're gonna look at it quick too. Okay. Your magic offering puts you in contact with a god. You can ask a single question. The DM offers a truthful reply. The reply might be a short phrase, cryptic rhyme, or an omen. Okay. All right. Gotcha. So you're going to cast divination and while
Yes.
Tobias is hunting around. Okay. So you cast this and let me think about how I want to do this for a second. So you see there's some kind of large purple flowers next to you. This plant has like these big spiky leaves, right? It's like a giant aloe plant, but with a lot more leaves than an aloe plant usually has. And in the center of it, there's this big purple flower, right? And you're kind of after you cast your spell, it catches your eye, and you see that and the purple flower looked like it was made up of hundreds of petals, right? All these little individual petals that they're kind of making up this flower that's like almost the size of like actually the size I would say of a basketball, right? Like half a basketball. And all these little petals, the things that you thought were petals, actually suddenly take flight, and you realize that they're all these little purple butterflies, and they all take flight at once and head off in kind of a mostly east, like slightly north, like east-northeast direction from where you are located at the moment.
Okay. Is that my omen or cryptic
It is,
response?
yes.
Okay. So northeast, you said northeast
like
direction?
East-northeast, so like mostly east, but tiny bit north.
Okay, so I go back to the others and say that I did some divination, and I received I guess you would call it an omen, or I can't think of the other word I'd want to use, but that we need to head in the east-northeast direction.
So Tobias, you hear kind of this information before you take off on Arokh. So I guess first, do you still want to go up and have a look?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Valia and Ulfgar, are you kind of just loitering at the moment? Anything you want to do?
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of like, okay, and just kind of sit down and hang out with Flippy.
Ulfgar says, "I've got it! Look!" And he touches a stone and he makes it light up like a torch. And he goes, "I can help you with it now. Here, hold on to this." And he like gives a stone to Valia. Says, "Now it'll be easier for you to see."
Not quite the problem they were trying to solve, but
he's finished making breakfast, and he's more or less at this point just kind of like letting the people that might be able to divine a direction, because that's not really been his helping part at this point.
Okay.
I'm just pulling. I have the map out like on the ground, and I'm just like kind of looking around, and and that part's not filled in or anything. So we're just kind of like, I think there's something here, maybe here. I don't know, maybe here. I think we saw some mountains, or somebody said there might be mountains here. I'm just like mumbling to myself.
Okay. So then back to Tobias and Arokh then. So you Arokh is able to kind of maneuver through the foliage of the trees and kind of break through the canopy. And at first you're like, you have to shield your eyes because you've been kind of in that dense jungle light, and breaking through the canopy, the sun is so bright that you have to kind of shield your eyes, and it takes you a moment to get used to that brightness, and then you can have a look around, and you see
what do I see?
You see
what I spy with my little eye.
you see directly to your east are three peaks, right? This little mountain range, and there is smoke coming from the three peaks of the mountain. So yeah, you're fairly certain that you've identified the peaks of flame. You can also see in between your location and those mountains, there is a sudden kind of, you can see the top of the jungle stretches like, and actually we can remove some of these. Oh, except I have to actually click them. We can remove some of these. Oop. You can see the top of the jungle stretches right up to the foot of the mountain. And you see, let's remove these and this, okay, and probably this one too. Okay. Then let me change this layer. Okay, you see right around there, there's you see this kind of sea of trees, right? This sea of leaves and foliage, except for that where that square is on the map, there's this sudden kind of like missing chunk. Like there's no trees in that spot. And it's quite a big spot as well.
Do I see any buildings?
You don't, no. But you do, you're kind of looking at it for a second, and then you see a group of some kind of you see a group of something flying up from this opening in the trees. I mean, it's a massive opening in the trees, right? There's just this sea of trees and leaves, and then there's this chunk just missing. And then out of this chunk, you see a group of creatures, let's say, because you can't really tell what they are from a distance, but a group of these creatures flies up out of the opening and heads kind of in like a northeast direction. And you can see they're all winged, and you can see they have either 2 legs and 2 arms or 4 legs. You're not quite sure, you know, they have 4 appendages. You're not sure if they're legs or arms or what's going on, but
Okay. I think that is the direction we should head. Okay, so I'm descending down to the rest of the group and I'm telling about my findings.
okay.
But I'm not sure if that's the place that we're looking for, but that's the direction.
That seems consistent with what Kellisto was saying.
I trust the butterflies.
As long as they're not trying to eat us, I'm alright with that too. So I think we've got a direction at least. Shall we head out then and try what we can to try and get off in that direction?
Sounds good. Let's go.
Pack up camp. Head out.
Okay. Right. So you spend the day kind of trudging through the jungle, right? It's not quite as heavy as the foliage was round the Night Hag's kind of little camp, but it is back to, you know, kind of somewhat heavy, you know, going where you're having to kind of follow dinosaur paths or break out the machete in a couple of places to kind of hack your way through. You do see some dinosaurs as well while you're kind of wandering. Well, not wandering, while you're hiking through the jungle. You see some kind of little group of stegosauruses. Stegosauri? Stegosauruses?
Stegosaurs.
Stegosaurs. There you go. And they're kind of munching away. And when they hear you coming, they kind of start moving rapidly in the opposite direction. So they kind of clear out of your path. You see some other kind of smaller dinos as well. Mostly seem to be Vegisauruses. And they're, most of them are kind of steering clear of you. You don't encounter any that act aggressively towards you. So that's kind of how your day goes. You hear, you know, monkeys in the trees, plenty of birds calling, all that kind of jungle activity, and the humidity is quite high, and it's hot, sweaty, you know, kind of travel. Not particularly pleasant, but you don't encounter anything particularly aggressive. And you are able to make progress towards this landmark that has been identified.
Okay.
Yeah, but before we go, I also mentioned that there were that flying creatures that they fly. Did they fly out or towards the?
They flew away from it. They flew out.
Yeah, they flew out from that place.
We're still in the dense jungle, though. It should between the hut. We should be fine.
Yeah, I suspect more Pterofolk.
Are you sure that it wasn't more dragon spawn, was it?
No, perhaps.
I don't like the idea of fighting Tinder's brothers and sisters.
Don't you worry me either.
Hadn't really occurred to me that might be a thing. I guess we should proceed with caution at this point. Our eyes on the sky. Good to know. Let's go.
So you progress through the day, and sun starts to sun's going down, big guy. And you can set up camp if you want, or you're going to continue going, or you're so excited about your light spell, Ulfgar. I feel compelled to ask if you're going to walk through the night.
Considering the previous nights that we've had, sleep is all too welcome at this point.
Okay,
at least for me.
Okay. So then, do you want to do some hunting? Are you gonna?
Yeah, I'll go get us some food. I got us some food.
More fried bats.
Okay. So, hut and then sleep.
Aye.
Okay.
That sounds like a good idea.
I'll take the first watch.
I'll take the last.
Okay, looks like I and Arokh are going to for the second watch.
Okay.
I'll take the first as usual.
Okay. So we've got Kellisto and Valia on the first watch, then Arokh and Tobias on the second, and Ulfgar and Aelia will join you for the third watch.
Aye. And what if it makes it to my watch, I'd also like to have a moment to talk to Gao.
Okay. So yes, it does make it to your watch. There's no kind of the jungle actually surprisingly is quite quiet.
I asked Gao if he knows who Raz Nasi is.
No, never heard of him.
How about the place named Omu?
He says he thinks for a while. He kind of scratches his head, and as he's doing, like his finger kind of wanders, and he ends up like picking around in his ear, and like he's just like going to town. Gets completely distracted, and then looks at you and sees you looking at him, and Omo, yes. He says, I kobolds know of another tribe that I think lives there.
There's another tribe of kobolds at Omu?
Yes, another family, another clan. I think they live there, but I've never seen them.
Would they also be worshipping their own queen? Perhaps another dragon?
He says, I don't think so, but you never know.
So you've never met them, though?
No.
Do you know where they were? Or where you thought them to live?
Somewhere in the city ruins. We hear that they take control of a building or something. He seems kind of like a little confused about the details. He's kind of like scrunching his face up, thinking about it, and he says, "I don't remember." He says, "They're a long way away from our our clan. He says,
Okay, well, it's possible we may meet up with them. It's also...
he says, as king of the kobolds, I will oversee this greeting.
I would appreciate that. And Ulfgar actually gives like a little bit of a bow to him with his head.
He says, he straightens his crown a little bit. Yes, yes.
You're a self-made kobold king after all.
Alright, that's all I'd pester him for during the watch.
Okay. Alright. So morning rolls around. You've all had a fantastic night's sleep as far as you can in the jungle. And you, Tobias, you estimate based on kind of what you saw from up above the treetops, that you should reach this landmark that you saw by the end of the day today.
So we should not waste any more time then.
Okay.
But I'm yet not sure if we should approach the mark at the night or during the day.
Definitely not at night.
I would say it'd be more to our advantage during the day. Even though we'd be more visible, in general, I think that he looks at everybody. I think most of us see better during the day hours.
We should just scout it out and see what's actually there from slight distance.
Gao says, I do not.
You do not what?
I do not see better during the day.
And Ulfgar actually gets kind of close to Gao and says, neither do I.
He says, Gao says, I need a hat.
You're wearing a hat?
And he starts kind of scouting around the edge of, where you set up camp, and you see him pulling on some really big leaves. He's grabbing it by the stalk. He's pulling this leaf out of the ground. So he gets a couple, and then the third one gives him so much hassle he ends up falling backwards when the leaf finally, and he comes back with half a dozen of these leaves, and you see him kind
What are you doing?
I'm making a hat.
Right. He's got a bit of a sensitive eye. He's normally more of a underground dweller, and the bright lights of the sun out here in an opening would probably be a bit hurtful to his sensitive vision.
And you see him, he's going to work and he's taking the stems of these big leaves and he's kind of stripping them to where they're like fibers, and then he's wrapping them around his crown, So it's this crown with this big leaf, and he's doing this with a whole bunch of leaves. So there's these leaves sticking off of his crown now.
So he's actually making a straw hat with a crown on it.
He's not giving up that crown.
All right.
So he's kind of doing that while you're eating and whatnot.
So as for scouting, Ulfgar says, I may be a pretty quiet soul, but as far as being inconspicuous, he kind of looks over towards Kellisto. I think you might be the one for that.
Yep, I kind of figured. Well, we should get close without as close as we think we can get without being seen, and then I can disguise myself into something and go kind of around the edges of the clearing to see what I can see or hear.
I'm alright with that.
Does everyone else agree with that? Should we take off?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I tell you what, I've learned this new thing. I've been studying this stone that Valindra gave us. And I've got this little bit of wire in my components pouch here that I've kind of come up with a use for it. And he puts it up to his mouth and he says, "Can you hear me?" And in a very low whisper. And it actually rings really loudly in Callisto's ear. And he says, "You can actually respond to this. But not, of course, if you're an animal. But nonetheless, I could warn you." And he puts it down. And he says, "Now that, I think that goes up a decent range." And as we're like walking, he like kind of tests it out a bit, and he goes, "It's about 120 feet, as it ends up being before it dies off." So,
oh great! Now you can talk my ear off, and I'm not even close to you.
And he gets this big
I
grin.
can never get away.
It only works for short phrases, if that helps.
Well, since you don't do short phrases, then maybe. Okay.
Right. So you set out, and Gao has his leafy crown now jammed on his head, and it's just this like halo of leaves around him now. You can just see his little red nose kind of sticking out from under them. He seems quite happy about this. Climbs on Aelia's back, and he's munching on some food while you guys are kind of going along. And travel for about half a day. And you suddenly hear like it's been kind of normal jungle noises, right? Like monkeys, birds, insects, occasional dinos. And suddenly all the birds caw like quite loudly and then take off and fly kind of in a westerly direction.
That's not a good portent. Prepare yourselves. Be quiet.
And so, why don't you make perception checks for me?
Okay.
Okay. So, Ulfgar and Kellisto, you see several, and Arokh as well, would see several shadows pass over kind of the leafy canopy up above you. And yeah, they look fairly good size. Yep, so they kind of pass over.
Might they resemble Terrafolk? Or perhaps a small red dragon? Or an even bigger red dragon?
I would say, as you've got a 23 on your perception check, you can make out. It's kind of difficult because it's it's shadows on moving leaves, right? But you can make out that they are winged. But where the Terrafolk seem quite like tall and skinny, these shadows seem more bulky, but they don't have the long neck of a dragon.
So you're saying fat Terrafolk?
Eaten way too many people. Just it was Christmas, I mean, they had anyway. Chocolate covered babies, and anyway. So yeah, Yeah, maybe. Maybe they kind of look like Terrafolk would if Terrafolk were a lot wider. They look just like bulkier all over. Oh, the other thing, hang on, let me look at Terrafolk. One moment, caller. Because I think, didn't Terrafolk have kind of, yeah, sorry, I should know this, but I don't. You're gonna deal with me looking stuff up. Yeah, Terrafolk's wings are kind of parts of their front appendages. So their wings kind of came off of the backs of their arms almost, you know? Like, here, do you want to see the handout?
Sure.
Yes, please.
So there's Terrafolk, right? You can see how the wings are like basically attached to their arms.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And the shadows that you're seeing have separate arms from the wings. You
Well,
think?
okay. Once the shadows have passed, Ulfgar would say, "Did anybody get a close look at it? It looked similar to Terrafolk, but different. A bit bulkier and too many limbs."
I just saw the shadows, I believe.
Yeah, I guess I was just looking to see if I could see anything else.
It looks like they're heading towards us.
They head kind of in a west, so they go like up and over you. They look like they came from the direction of the landmark that you're moving towards, but they head kind of up and over you, you know, kind of straight past you in a westerly direction.
Well, they've passed by. I propose that we definitely keep quiet as we proceed closer. See if we can figure it out. I would say perhaps go up and check, but I'm afraid we'd be spotted by whatever those are and that they might be unfriendly.
About how far out do you think we are from where we'd want to set?
You estimate you're about 4 hours away.
Okay. Well, for the last hour, I can hide us, but we still have 3 more hours travel before that can happen.
Right. We'll just have to be cautious. Let's do this.
I say we just move forward. Hopefully not get seen by whatever that is.
Okay. So you're continuing for another few hours then, for just kind of cautiously continuing.
Aye.
Okay. So you're all kind of a little bit on edge, just looking at the canopy, you know, fairly regularly to see if there's any more, you know, shadows traveling your way. You travel for another few hours without any further sign of whatever those creatures were.
Yar.
So, um, so you think you're getting pretty close now to kind of your final destination. Move you over another bit.
Yeah, since I think we're getting close, I will then do Pass Without a Trace to veil us.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. So then, are you going to try and travel quite stealthily for the last hour?
I think we should, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then could everybody make a stealth roll for me to see there's anybody that is going to give you away. Oh, definitely not Valia. She's like, you turn around and you're like, where'd she go?
We're in the crocodile leaf forest.
Yeah, the only thing that gives Valia away is she blinks at some point and you're like, whoa, that's uncanny. You look so much like the Foliage.
She starts making the predator noise. Oh, geez, Tobias.
Yeah. So you're all stealthy as fuck and get through the jungle.
Plus 10 on top of those, too.
Yeah,
Wow.
seriously. There is no way that anybody's gonna spot you guys coming. So okay. Actually, you know what? I gotta roll for Aelia.
I was about to say, did we lose Gao?
One moment. I gotta stop.
Well, hey, you know, we're all just traveling as a group anyway. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So so you guys are all super sneaky, and then like Aelia just kind of trotting along and turn around and look at her like everybody's scowling at Aelia. Shut up. Okay. So travel for another hour, and finally, let me scroll up to. Finally, the jungle parts in front of you to reveal a sheer cliff that breaks away like down from where you're standing. And you can see this coming, right? Because you can see the density of the trees in front of you and the path in front of you kind of just gradually reduces until there's just a few trees kind of standing between you and this vast opening in the jungle. So the jungle parts to reveal a dead city enclosed by sheer cliffs. Ruined buildings and stone boulevards rise like ghosts from the floor of the misty basin. Colorful birds glide overhead, and a waterfall pours into the basin, creating a swollen river that floods much of the city before draining into a deep rift filled with molten lava. A ruined palace lies a few hundred feet from the edge of the steaming abyss. So if it's not, just in case it's not clear, the city is at the bottom of this massive kind of circle of cliffs, and you're at the top. And there is kind of like, you can almost see this like cloud like gathering above the city because all the mist and the humidity from the jungle is just kind of rising in this big crater, basically, that has these sheer cliffs on the side.
So Ulfgar would look over to Kellisto and say, I don't suppose you figured out how to turn yourself into something that can fly yet, have you?
No, not yet, sorry. But I can climb pretty well.
I could float you down if you want a quick descent.
Trying to think what would be the most obscure thing, but belong in the jungle that I can. I'm thinking a rat.
And actually, here I'm going to show you the kind of a little overhead-ish kind of view of the city. As you're standing at the top of the cliff, you can see this kind of expand out in front of you. So there's the kind of the rift of lava that's even deeper than the city is, right? The city is about 100, 150 feet below where you're standing. And then there's this kind of deep rift where the molten lava is. So that's pretty much what you see there.
Oh, holy wow. Right. Where
And
would...
you're approaching, sorry, just to clarify, you're approaching from the bottom kind of the bottom left corner. You see that there's like a point sticking out into the city. You're kind of on the tip of that point, so you can see there's a little bit that kind of is off back behind you, and then the vast, majority of the city is kind of in front of you and to your left.
It looks like
Does that make-
stairs.
What was that?
It looks like stairs.
You do see what looks like stairs, yeah.
Well, then I guess I don't need to float you down.
No. So I think I'm gonna change into a rat. And
Okay.
I'll head on down and follow the stairs down.
Before you go and transform and stuff, how long before we should follow or pursue? Okay,
Oh, that's a good
I'm
point.
expecting that we might lose track of you.
Yeah, and the stealth will be gone too for you. So you might want to hide yourselves.
Aye. We'll do that over here. And Ulfgar points to some spot that looks like it's worth hiding in or something, but we can still perhaps get a peek over the edge of the ledge.
It is getting, to give you an idea as well, it is afternoon, I would say, like about 4 p.m., something like that. 3,
Well,
4.
I figure what I can do is I will go down into the city and see if I can find a pathway that is somewhat clear, so that we can basically get you into the city, and I'll find a place to basically hide for the night.
All right. If you can find out if there are inhabitants, that would probably benefit us more.
Yes.
Right, well. Good luck. Ulfgar looks very flustered all of a sudden.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and turn in to the rat and make my way down.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm on the lookout for basically inhabitants, possible places to get them to hide, to be in the city.
Okay. So, okay, so you're proceeding kind of along the edge, helps you keep your bearings, so you know, where the city is in relation to you being quite small. It would be quite easy to get lost in the dense jungle. So, so you proceed along that edge, and you get probably about 100 feet from where your companions are hiding, and you see a vine-draped gargoyle perches on the cliff top, staring down at the ruined city. Has the face of a devil with its mouth agape and a silent scream. So you see that and continue along the edge, and you see actually probably like 2 more of these gargoyles kind of along the edge, these statues along the edge of the cliff top, all peering down at the city, kind of looking down at it before you reach the top of the stairs. How long can you stay wild shaped for? Just Give me
I
an
don't
idea.
really even know. I'm looking.
Okay.
I think it's half your druid level in hours. Or is that the number of times you can do it? Or I can't remember now.
I thought that was the challenge rating, actually. Look as well.
What's the? It's called Wild Shape, isn't it?
It is
Yes.
wild.
Druid Wild Shape. Hey, Roll20 has something on it.
Oh no, it is. You can stay in beast shape for a number of hours equal to half your druid level rounded down.
Okay, so basically 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay. So you see the 2 gargoyles. Oh wait, 3 gargoyles.
10 gargoyles.
Then head down the stairs, and you encounter, as you can see on the little handout, right? This collapsed building, or ruined building, I should say. And it looks like the remnants of a guardhouse. You can kind of imagine, with it being so close to the entrance of the city, this was probably, where guards were stationed to keep an eye on who's coming and going. So there are arrow slits cut into its limestone walls, and lopsided iron portcullis hangs over the gateway of this guardhouse. Beyond which you can see is kind of like this little open plaza within the house itself.
So is it the one that's just basically straight ahead from the little pointy thing?
It's the one here. Actually, hang on, let me look. Here, I'm gonna move you guys over to the big map. Whoop.
Here I thought we were on the big map.
Let it load in for a sec. So it is this one here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, this one. So so you see, guardhouse stands near the entrance of the city. Arrow slits cut into its limestone walls, and a lopsided iron portcullis hangs over the gateway, beyond which you see an open plaza.
I'll go in and investigate the building.
Okay. So when you enter it, you see that the majority of the inside has collapsed into rubble. There's creepers and vines, have grown all over the wall. Grass has sprouted up between kind of the flagstones that were on the floor. And you can see evidence of campfires, kind of like very, very, it's been a very long time since they've been used, but there's the evidence of campfires once being in here. One of the walls is covered in graffiti. Some of the words are painted and some of the words are etched into the stone.
Can I read any of it? Is it
Yes,
in common?
it is actually all written in common. You do feel like you've probably been, it's probably been about an hour since, maybe a little bit longer since you shifted. But so the graffiti, there's quite a few bits of it. Some of it is more legible than others. Some of it's been written over. But you read one bit that says, "Fear the fangs of Ras Nasi." Another one says, "Arokh, I've gone in search of the 9 shrines. V. It's like, a little note written to somebody, like, Eric, I've gone and searched, and it's signed with the letter V. Another bit says, the puzzle cubes are the key. Another bit says, beware the frog monster. Another bit says, who is Unk? Another bit says, all hail the king of feathers. You can make out 2 more bits. One bit says, the snakes are not what they seem. And the last bit says, it's got like 3 words and then equal signs on them. So it says, Kubazan equals bravery. Shagambi equals wisdom. And then Moa equals question mark. And that's all that you can make out.
Okay, can you repeat those one more time?
How about, actually,
I'm writing them down.
here we go. I will put them in the chat.
And then
Yeah,
there's a bolted and chained door that says dead inside.
okay. So there's no roof on this building, correct?
That is correct. There is no roof on it.
It's already been over an hour and a half.
That is correct, yeah.
I'm gonna go to the edge, what looks like a cliff. I just want to check to see if there's if it all is all a cliff or if there are other ways of getting down and if I can figure out what the height is.
Yeah, that is there is a short drop, but it's only like 8 feet or something like that. So you think you can kind of scramble down it.
Do I think I have enough time to make it to those other buildings? And then get back before I change?
You don't think you'll get all the way back?
I'm gonna go ahead and head back then.
Okay.
What? No little like conscience on each shoulder telling you can do it. Come on.
Wait, one of them's supposed to be like.
Are they both little Ulfgars?
Ulfgar with a little angel halo is like, you should turn back now. And it's a little devilish one like, oh come on, we can do it. You can make it back in time.
Well, now the little Ulfgars are talking to me. Thank you.
What did you do?
None of that is actually real. It's entirely up to you if you wanted to do it.
I know. I'm just trying to think strategy-wise. Guess I could. Yeah, no, I'll just head back.
Okay. All right. So you retrace your steps, back up the steps, literally, and along the edge, passing by the statues.
Okay, what did I missed?
You missed Kellisto found some graffiti inside that guardhouse, which is the text that you see in chat. Yeah, about 3 hours after Kellisto left as a small rodent, you see the same small rodent return.
All right, I will go and find them and basically turn back into myself in wherever they're hidden.
Okay. Are you in the hut, Ulfgar? Is that where you've got going on?
We probably wouldn't have hutted yet until we're ready to like camp for the night. So.
Okay.
No.
All right. So, and now it is actually you're beginning to lose kind of light as well. So it was about what, like 3-4 o'clock when Kellisto set out. So it's now about like 6 or 7 o'clock. So daylight is disappearing fast. But you do see poof, bamf. Kellisto morphs out of her rat shape into the form of Kellisto that you're most familiar with.
Don't do that. Gosh, it's good to see you.
Well, thank you. I didn't make it very far in the time that I had. What I did find was there is a building. It's still kind of a little bit like 8 feet above the rest of the city. There's no roof, but it's definitely abandoned. We could possibly, under the cover of night, go in there. There are these weird gargoyles statues on the way. Because I'm skeptical about everything, it's possible that those could be some kind of warning signal to other people if we go past them.
I don't know if Ulfgar is familiar enough with gargoyles to compare them to the shapes that he saw flying before.
Make an intelligence check.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, what's a gargoyle? I'm from Swamplands. I'm pretty sure I would probably not have seen them.
Well, they're creatures of stone, so I thought I'd have or stone-like appearance at least. But yeah, very low intelligence roll, as expected.
Yeah, the shadows were too it was too tough to kind of get an idea of the shadows, if they could be or not.
Okay.
Are you sure they're statues? Did they move? They look at you?
They did not move, but that's why I was saying I was skeptical at their statues.
Were they covered in some kind of vegetation or webbing or
Yes,
anything?
they were covered in vines, I believe.
It's likely that they're not actual living gargoyles then. But the only thing that would worry me is then, while we may have visibility protection in that place on the sides, we know that there are creatures flying above that would potentially see us if we're in there, if there's no roof. I would say we might potentially want to move further than that then. I guess what I'm saying is we should probably just camp here and just head into the city at first light.
Yeah, and we probably should watch streets a little bit closer if there's any movement in the night.
Or we should head into the city in the night when nobody can spot us.
But for most of you to see, we'll need light, which will make it easier for them to see us. That's the only downfall. Now, if you want, you and I could probably lead the group, but once again, I don't know how eager the rest of them are for traveling somewhat blindly by moonlight.
Okay, well, if you think we should wait, then...
Well,
I mean, I could head back down there, but you won't be able to talk to me.
Aye.
And see what else is there in my current form, not as something else.
Well, let's ask those that have difficulty seeing in the night and see how they fare. And Ulfgar kind of looks over at Tobias and Arokh and Aelia, Valia. Well, what do you think? Do you want to go under cover of darkness? Is the sky like, what's the weather like at this point?
It is cloudy.
Ulfgar asks Kellisto if she can tell what the weather will be like overnight.
I can do that, yes.
Perhaps the moon will be out and give us a fraction of visibility for those that can see but can't see.
Oh, I have to get my weather sheet out. Hang on.
Weather sheet, what? Druid craft, best
Yeah.
cantrip.
So whispering to the spirits of nature, I can create a tiny, harmless sensory effect that predicts the weather will be at my location for the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
Hey.
So it's a golden orb for clear skies, a cloud for rain, falling snowflakes for snow, and so on.
Okay, 1 moment.
You get a little image of a stone. It's like, wait, what?
So wait, what were the things again?
It's
Sorry.
in chat.
Oh, thank you. Okay. You see a little cloud.
Okay, so it's going to rain in the next 24 hours.
Well, that'll give us the benefit of traveling quieter. But it will not help our visibility. So for those that can't see in the dark, do you want to travel in the dark?
Sure, I'm always up for an adventure.
Yeah, but we will be going blindly if there will be any movement.
What I can do is I can cast my light spell on something. We can keep it covered, and I'd have to refresh it every hour, but should we need it at a moment's notice, it would be a light that can be turned on.
That one meant I was referring to if there will be any patrols on or activity during the night.
Right, that would be mostly on us Night Seers to try and detect them.
Yeah, I would likely go and wait another night, just to scout out if will be any activity during the night, and then pursue to dive into
a
the city.
stakeout.
So how about that?
I'm alright with that. I'm alright with going in. I'm alright with either.
Yeah, I think Tobias might be correct. We should probably see what happens around here in the nighttime.
Well, Valia, you want to have a good night's sleep in the rain then?
Sure, why not? a little, moisture doesn't hurt anybody. Considering our right to sleep in water. So.
What you do notice as the sun is setting is that there is a general glow in like the southeast corner of the city from the great rift of magma that is there.
Magma.
Okay, so with that in mind, then is your decision still the same to stay up on the cliff top, overlooking the city?
At least for one night.
Bye.
Right, and are you setting up the hut or no?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So
under cover of the forest and usual camo treatment.
Okay.
Pink camouflage color.
I'm sure nobody will notice. Okay, so hut is cast and everybody except Arokh is cozy and dry inside the hut. Arokh is looking quite miserable getting rained on. And the rain does begin as predicted by Kellisto's spell. At first it's kind of a slow kind of drizzle of rain, and then it really kind of picks up, and it's quite heavy. And actually the water kind of is almost cascading off of your huts, right? And just in specific spots, right? Because mostly you've got cover from the trees, but there are some spots where the rain is just kind of punching through the leaves and pouring down onto your hut, and in those spots it's like cascading down the side. So it's a little bit like looking through running water, you know, in those areas. So and are you taking watches? Or?
Yeah, I'll take first.
I'll take first with her.
I'll take last watch.
Yeah, I'm taking this. I'm taking the second.
Okay, so kind
Same
of
as usual.
same.
Yeah.
Same as you. Okay.
Now,
same
before I go to sleep, though, I'll cast Shape Water near Arokh. Should last for about an hour. It should keep the water sheltered, you know, kind of just diverting over him. It just kind of like, whoop. It only lasts for an hour, but...
Be less soggy for an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. So first watch passes, and you not only do you have no interruption, but you also don't see any movement from within the city. That being said, though, it is actually quite difficult to see that far into the city because the rain is heavy and is kind of impairing how far you can see. Just like it's like real life, right? You can't see very far through heavy rain. So you're not able to really kind of see any activity. And the same is true for the second watch. The third watch, wait, hang on, who's on third watch again?
I am with Aelia and Gao.
Aelia. Okay. Well, Gao does not volunteer to sleep. He thinks his royalty. He is beyond such things. But could you make a perception check for me, please? And I will do one for Aelia.
Okay.
You see a thing, and I want to see how much of that thing you see. Okay. All right. So you see, from kind of, it's a little difficult to see exactly from where, again, because the rain is obscuring your vision. But from what looks like the northeast end, somewhere in the northeast of the city, again, these flying shapes pass over you, and based on kind of your 19, you think they might be gargoyles.
Oh. Okay. Well, that answers that question. Ulfgar tried pointing him out to Aelia. She may or may not see him. Probably not, but... Anyway, as long as they're not heading for us, you wouldn't raise any alarm or anything until the morning.
Okay. No, they don't seem to be heading directly for you or anything.
Okay.
So the sun begins to rise and the rain does ease off a little bit. It is still raining, but it's just lightly raining.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got my weather chart out. It's you actually get weather reports.
Ulfgar would proceed to continue with the rain diverting over Arokh while he's awake and everything.
Okay. Can you ritual cast that one? Is that what?
It's a cantrip.
Oh, it's a cantrip. Okay. All right.
And I can maintain up to 3 effects for an hour.
Gotcha. Very good.
more or less, he's been wanting some kind of water repellent for some time. So.
Ulfgar refuses to be rained on ever again.
Yeah, no more soggy dwarf if it can be avoided.
So yeah, morning rolls around. Sun is starting to rise. It is still lightly raining.
Ulfgar shares the information that he saw, what he believes to be actual gargoyles flying over the northeast end of the city last night, just before dusk. I didn't get a good look at numbers, but I'm fairly certain that they were what we're afraid of at this point. Dangerous flying enemies.
You're just going to need a big enough stone.
I don't suppose that we've seen any kind of signs that a certain artisan dragonbait were here.
You've not seen any signs of them yet.
We really have to be more specific than at a city. Like, maybe at the local Starbucks in that city or something, you know. Anyway. Well, it's morning. We know that there's gargoyles there. I don't know why there'd be gargoyles of all creatures, but I can't say I'm not familiar with them. Shall we head in together?
Do you think those statues are gargoyles? Or you think they're just statues of the gargoyle?
Could I make some kind of history check about gargoyles and if they're actual, if they're likely covered with like lichen and stuff like that, that they could be gargoyles and living ageless, or if they're actually more like terra folk and such, but they just, if they wanted to, they could hold still and resemble a statue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Why did I choose history? Hey!
That's a nice roll. 2 nice rolls.
Especially since I got a 0 for history.
You believe that that when a gargoyle wants to, they can be completely concealed. But that doesn't involve magically growing vegetation.
Okay. Well, my great uncle Owen once told me about a tale about gargoyles that he ran into on the Great Cliffs, and well, they were able to be evaded quite well. They were good hiders, but they, as far as like using magic to disguise themselves in the brush or look like they're aged or something, I don't think that they've got that ability. It's more like you're probably closer to your ability, Kellisto, where they can make themselves more difficult to see or such. They do resemble statues, like living statues of a sort. So I have a feeling that those ones we saw are more an homage to the gargoyles that we've been seeing flying around the city.
You are saying that gargoyles, they are going back at night to the city.
Actually, I don't know if they were leaving the city or coming back in. Kashcah, did you say that? You said they were in the northeast, but
they look like they were. Yeah, it's kind of tough to. No, you think that their trajectory was like they were ascending into the air.
Okay.
So.
They were leaving the city. I couldn't quite tell the direction, but it looked like they were coming up out of it.
So it looks like they leaving the city on regular intervals.
Quite possibly. Most likely, I would speculate they're hunter-gatherers of some sort. They're looking for prey, or bringing back something for the rest of their kin.
Or they are on service for Rasnasi.
That is a good possibility as well.
Yeah,
Kellisto, did you say anything about the scrawlings that you saw? The graffiti?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I would have said anything. No, I don't think I would have.
Okay.
I think I would have just thought it was all,
Yep.
graffiti.
Well, I think we should start heading in. Keep our guard up. Try and stick to the shadows as best we can.
Well, I can cast the stealth thing, at least for an hour. That should get us down to that first building.
Is that a very open area where we don't have much cover?
It looks like it.
That sounds like that would be a good use of it. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's go.
Ulfgar starts packing up camp.
Okay. Right. So you pack all your belongings back into your packs and head out from the location where you made camp. Are you following the cliff line? Are you trying to cut through, or?
I don't know, Kellisto. You've been this way. What way are we going?
Well, I assume I would take them down those stairs that I followed. Basically, followed the same route that I did. Well.
Okay. All right. Yep. So you follow kind of this looks like a small kind of game trail or something, maybe some dinos. And you do encounter these statues as you go along. So you see one that's about 100 feet from where you made camp and where you've been hiding out for the past kind of 12 hours or so. And it is like a winged kind of statue. One sec, let me refer to my documentation. It's got kind of moss and vines growing over it. It is staring down from the top of the cliff towards the city. And it does have kind of, classic gargoyle face with, the horns and the big eyes, and its mouth is, agape and as if it were screaming. So this is how the statue looks to you. So do you want to check it out, or are you just continuing straight through?
Ulfgar says I could inspect it for magic. I don't like how it's staring at me, though. Those big teeth. Now let's keep going.
Okay. All right. So keep trucking through there, and you see two more of these before you get to the top of the steps. Are you drawing on that?
Yes.
You
It's
were no, it's all right, but you were over here.
Oh, that's a big difference. Let me fix that, because I drew this X some time ago thinking we were down
Yeah, I was kind of like, sorry. So yeah, you've seen like gargoyle here, probably one here, probably one here.
Oh, that's where the gargoyles are.
They're
Okay.
spaced out along this cliff top.
Okay. That was not the shape I wanted.
So you get to the top of the steps, and this is where the vegetation really starts to kind of like fall away, right? Like there's no, down in like this area where the guardhouse is, there's no like big jungle trees anymore or anything like that. It's just all low kind of low vegetation, like knee height. Maybe some of it is overgrown a bit to where it's kind of like up to your waist, but nothing higher than that. And you can see kind of like little paths through the vegetation. Again, probably like animals, dinosaurs, making their way through there. So, are you heading down?
Yes, I would lead them down to the building.
Okay. All right, so you see exactly what Kellisto saw. It's this building here. Is you reckon it's a guardhouse. There are arrow slits in the walls of it. It looks like it's made of these big chunks of limestone. And yeah, the arrow slits are kind of what make you think that it's a guardhouse. There is a big kind of gateway to the interior of the building, in which hangs a lopsided iron portcullis. And beyond that, you can see there's kind of an open plaza within this building.
Okay. Would we be able to safely get through that open portcullis?
Yeah. I mean, are you gonna go up and have a look?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's been where it is for a very long time. Like it doesn't look like it's moved in a very long time.
Okay.
So you think it's probably going to stay there for quite a while.
Okay. So proceed in with caution.
Okay.
Stealthing in like we have been.
Okay. So you see much of the interior has collapsed into rubble. Mm-hmm. There are creepers and vines growing up the walls. Grasses and weeds and plants sprout from between the flagstones of the floor amid evidence of long dead campfires. And you do see one wall is covered in graffiti. Some of it is painted and some of it is etched into the stone.
So I take note of it as well.
Okay. If you can make out the 1, 2, 4, the 8 things that I copy pasted into chat are quite easy to make out. There is like more than that, but most of you can see that there's bits underneath that have been like painted over, and some bits that were etched have just kind of deteriorated beyond comprehension.
Would I know what Kubazan is, or Shagambi, like if they're language names or something like that, or?
I don't think you do. Let me just check.
Or Moa, for that matter.
No, you are not familiar with these terms, these names.
I'm gonna walk over into a corner and get a rock, and I'm gonna start just like putting my name on the wall.
Fantastic. Yeah, you find because it's limestone, you can go for a bit of flinty looking rock and start carving into it. And it's quite easy to carve into, actually, being limestone.
Okay. Well, first part of the journey's done. Is this where you ended up getting to there, Kellisto?
Yeah, this is as far as, well, I got to the edge of the cliff over there, but this is as far as I got.
Right. Well, I guess we just proceed on from here. Haven't seen any sign of anything so far. Let's hope that there's nothing of danger ahead, and just kind of act head on, assuming others will follow as well.
Okay.
Do, 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 do.
So, you reach kind of the edge, and it is like a short kind of, yeah, Valia was here, definitely. There is kind of a short cliff that you can just kind of scramble down. Before you do that, though, could everybody make a perception check for me, please?
Okay. Perception.
Okay. That's a mixed bag of results, huh? So the only person that notices this is Vallen or Ulfgar. You see, in the cliff over here, there is a little track that kind of hang on one second. It almost looks like kind of a goat track, but it zigzags its way up the cliff to a little cave.
And you said it's like up here?
Yeah.
Interesting. Ulfgar points it out to the rest of the group and wonders if anybody, specifically those of the survival or nature types, might be familiar with what this beastie might be. I see it might have some kind of cave over there. Is it humanoid? Perhaps just an animal cavern?
I did a nature check. I don't know what it is.
Yes. It's a cave. That's kind of your takeaway.
I mean, we could climb it and go look and see what's in there. Or one of us could.
Maybe I saw it was used by humans. Or I see any peculiar things about it.
Says what?
Can you do like an investigation? Would be like you getting up close to something and kind of checking it out, right? So is that what you're doing, or?
I'm just looking from a distance.
Okay. Then that's. If you want to do like another perception check, I'm fine with that. Or a nature check, like the others, to see if you can identify it, if it's a man-made. Okay. Yeah, you think it's a man-made cave.
This cave looks like it was chiseled.
Chiseled.
Let's go see what's inside of it. I'm just gonna kind of slowly walk that way.
All right. Ulfgar says, I could scout ahead and let you know if there's any residents in there. Either way, I think it might be a spot we might be able to take cover in if it's uninhabited. He just walks along with everybody, but if nobody says anything, he's not gonna go ahead.
What?
Yeah, I mean, we can always kill whatever's in it and take over.
There we go, a little cavern, little path.
So, you moving forward, or what's your?
Yeah, I think I'm just following Valia. Looks like she's going towards the cave.
Yeah, I'm just walking towards it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. So So you make your way. The track is a little precarious. So as you can imagine, if it was dark, it would be quite easy to lose your footing. Especially because all the stone is wet as well from the rain. It makes it a little bit slippery. But you are able to reach the cavern without falling. And once inside the cave, you can see evidence that it was much more recently occupied. There's kind of there's bedrolls that look actually quite fresh. There's discarded leftovers from a meal, like there's little bits of like bones and I don't know, like skin, stuff like that. So somebody has been eating here recently.
Can we recognize something else?
Is there something specific you're looking for?
Actually, we've spent so much time with Arthur, so we will probably see. I'll be familiar how he behaves and how he actually would make a place ourselves for ourselves to feel like home, so to say.
So you checking to see if you think this is Artus? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hoping more than thinking that it's Artus.
Okay. So let's call that your previous investigation roll. Now you're kind of investigating the area. But this the bones actually look like they were whatever ate these animals ate them raw, actually, which doesn't seem like Artus.
Sorry.
Artus you've never seen Artus eat raw meat.
Well, it looks like whoever was here isn't here at the moment, at least.
What do you think about preparing an ambush?
Ambush for who?
We shall see. Whoever might live in this cave.
Can we check out to see how recent this is? Or to see if we can figure out how recent it's been inhabited.
Make an investigation check, Ulfgar.
Check out the bones and stuff and see if there are bits of the meat still on it from just yesterday or last night or something. I'm on the wrong page. Hold on. Investigation. Excuse me.
You think that this was within the last 24
hours? Right. How big is this cave?
It is so Aelia would have stayed at the bottom, by the way. But the Kellisto, Valia, Tobias, and Ulfgar, you fit in the cave, but there's not a lot of space to spare. Like it's, you think that like Aelia probably could fit in, or Arokh, could fit in, but that would probably be about it.
Well, if we're to set an ambush, we'd have to do it outside the cave. Is there much cover outside? Obviously not on the path, but...
Yeah, there's no like little ledge or anything. Oh, like down at the bottom? There's no like big trees or anything. There's vegetation that is between knee and waist high. Ulfgar, for you, it's a little bit more like waist high.
Well, setting an ambush would be one thing, but I don't know how we'd set it up. There's too many of us to fit in here. There's not enough cover out there. They'd see us when they came. We could go up on the cliff edge above, But then we'd still need to come back down in.
True.
What about the building?
There's no roof on it.
Yeah, but we can see at least who is habitating this cave, and we might seek opportunity to interrogate him about the place, about the Omu.
Do we have the possibility of tracking where this goes? Because I know that there was a bit of a trail that we saw coming down, but I don't know if it continued to exit or if it perhaps found another way down the small cliff face.
Yeah, it leads. There's kind of goes in both directions. So there's a point where the path kind of, there's a Y, in the path, and one chunk heads towards the building, and another chunk heads kind of down towards the rest of the city.
I say we head into the city and see if we can find a building just to stay.
I think I agree. I think if we just follow this trail down into the city, we'll very likely find the residents that way.
I agree. We should go into the city.
Okay, into the city it is.
Let's go.
I'll just start heading that way.
Charge!
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So describe what your plan is, please.
Follow the trail into the city and just try and stay out of sight as much as possible during that time.
Okay. All right.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to ping.
That's right. It wasn't an at everyone, so you're forgiven. So you scramble down, you follow the trail to the edge of this kind of little cliff bit here, and you scramble down there to the kind of the main level of the city below. There are some buildings ahead of you. There's a few kind of different paths between, or in amongst all the vegetation now. There's some buildings ahead of you there.
Mm-hmm.
And they look like they are in similar shape to the guardhouse that you were just in. They look ruined. They look overgrown. And there is, a kind of stronger path that heads around the side of the building. There's one path that heads in between them, but they all seem to end up going in this direction here. In this way.
I guess, is there a path actually down this little drop?
There isn't per se, because it's quite steep, so it's more of a scramble.
Okay. Then I guess my thoughts were we would just try and get to the closest cover first, which would be coming down here, and check to see if these places were safe or not. And then move on up to this area.
Okay. Is that what does everybody agree with
Yes.
Mr. Ulfgar, Mr. Holderheck?
I don't think we have much choice.
You can always stuff him in the bag of holding, right, and call it good.
There's not any space.
Just put it over his head. So it'll be fine. Probably breathe in there.
If he will be the gnome, so maybe, just maybe.
Okay, so
Bard in the bag.
Bard in the bag. All right, so you approach these buildings here. and they look like at one point they were somebody's home. You know, each of there's 3 separate buildings, and they look like, yeah, they were homes. From what you can, from like the exterior of them, it looks like houses.
Right. Are the doors open, intact, closed?
They are not intact. Yeah, various degrees of decay, right? Some of them it's missing entirely and it's just the hinges that are left. Others are, you know, half broken off, you know, and it's like almost the wood is almost fossilized. But there's more missing than there is there for all of them.
Try and look inside each and stealth my way in if I don't see anything straight away.
Okay. So you look inside and you see a ruined building, right? The floors are now overgrown with grass and plants and vines, and creepers kind of climb the wall. Yeah, there's water dripping through the roof in multiple places. Yeah, it's the buildings are ruined, basically.
Anything of value or look like anybody's been here recently?
They do not look like anybody has entered them in a very long time.
Okay. Head back out, tell everybody what I saw and how we might be able to bunker in there if we need to at some point. Did it look like there were multiple exits or just the one?
From the 2 smaller buildings, like on the side here, this one, and this one, there's just one exit from each. This one has an exit at each end.
Okay. Let's move on. I'm assuming that they have some semblance of a roof intact.
They do, but it's highly water damaged. In fact, you were a little worried about it falling on you when you were in there.
Okay. I'd still say that I thought that we'd be able to stay in there if needed.
Okay.
But then move on to the rest of them.
To this patch over here?
Yeah.
Yep, you find more of the same.
Okay. And the path continues on that we're following?
Mm-hmm. The path continues on, yep, into kind of this area here.
Still no sign of life, like down here or anything like that, or over here, or people above or anything. Just like looking out from this spot where we're at. Sorry, that way.
That's all right. Come on. Oh no.
Meow meow.
Okay, so looking out, you don't see anything over there, but when you kind of come around the corner, you do start hearing something. And what you're hearing is drums in the deep. No, they're not in the deep. But you start hearing these drums, and it sounds like it's kind of just a regular rhythm of drum. Like it sounds like there's multiple drums, but you hear like a regular kind of rhythm of them.
Okay. Darn kitty. Shall we go building by building at this point, or do you want to stick to the main path and see what kind of people or beings might still be here.
I think we should go and follow the drums.
That would be a good idea.
Sure. Follow the drums.
Drums.
Nothing bad could happen.
Right. I don't know what direction the drums are actually coming from. If you're saying behind us, then I'm in trouble.
No. The drums seem like they are coming from...
I'm really zoomed in here, so hold on.
this direction.
Okay. Okay, then I'll probably want to stick close to the cover line if possible on the way there, because I'm very aware that we might be have gargoyles fly over us at any time.
Okay.
Do Tobias recognize this as war drums, war song, or something like that? Something military related?
It's another dwarven bard playing the drums.
It doesn't sound like it's military, but it does sound like it's like ritualistic, if that makes sense.
They're preparing the sacrificial ceremony for us. Yes.
Yeah, Kalima. Kalima.
Come your hard, Indy.
I got on the apple. Okay, that should be good enough. We know we were blessed with good luck.
All right, proceed on. Being cautious, careful.
Okay.
Keeping perspective.
So you see, wait, where's that? Hang on, sorry, I just moved the wrong thing. Move that over there. So as you approach this area, you get a good picture of kind of these stairs, right? They're actually a raised kind of raised walkway. So there's this little group of stairs that goes up, and then the walkway is raised right through kind of the center of the city. So so you think from up there you'd have a really good kind of perspective of everything, but also you'd be quite exposed.
Right.
What you do see, so are you stealthily moving forward? Are you just kind of strolling down the street?
I was under the impression that we're trying not to be like seen, so
okay, then give me some stealth rolls.
Stealth rolls. Don't get no rolls. We don't get no tolls. Stealth.
Okay, that's everybody, right? Arokh. Okay.
We've got Aelia and
We check
Cow.
one thing. Gao is not a problem. Trust me, he is stealthy. Alright, so yeah, that's good. So what you see up ahead is this little, so you can kind of see there's a little building right here, and there's this little bridge over here leading to kind of this weird pillar, right, where the magma and the lava haven't eroded it away.
Mm-hmm.
And around the entrance to the bridge is this group of little creatures, and they have with them a creature that you have encountered before. The creatures that you see, you haven't encountered these creatures before, and you're not sure what they are. But the creature that they have with them, they have a single grung with them.
Oh, okay. So I was expecting you to be like Dragon Bait or Artis.
Nope. So they have, just a reminder, they have one of these guys. They have a little green guy with them, and this little green grung appears to be restrained.
I could understand that.
Yeah.
The guys that you see who are well, let me set the scene a little bit further. So well, let me show you a handout actually. The guys that you see who have restrained this grung look like this.
Meow meow. Holy crap.
I think we should save the grung.
From a Vegapigme.
Blanket, right? So they there's a group of them that have, you can now see where the drum noise is coming from, because there's a group of them around the entrance to the bridge who appear to be in some kind of tribal gear, right? They've got these elaborate kind of headdresses on. They've got these skirts that appear to be made of similar leaves to what Gao's hat is made of, right? And they have drums and they are, playing away, right? As the ones that have the grung restrained are dancing around him in a very kind of traditional way. Like, you notice they're all doing the same moves, right? It's not like it's like Veggie Pygmy dance party or anything like that. They're all like doing the same dance moves in synchrony, right? So they're kind of, it's a very traditional kind of looking thing that's happening, ritual that's happening, right?
So they're all doing a two-step. Got it.
They're not a two-step. It's more like
Foxtrot.
More like a rain dance or something.
Okay.
Very kind of hopping around on, from one foot to the other foot, and they have this kind of very like dipping their heads down, and anyway, they've got this whole thing that they're doing, right? This whole routine that they've clearly practiced in front of the mirror with Tiffany playing in the back. So they're dancing around this grung, right? And the grung is being kind of held in place by two other veggie pygmies, and there is one kind of one more veggie pygmy who looks like he's in charge, who is actually kind of riding the thing that was in the picture, right? So he's that little kind of
salamander.
I don't even know how to describe that guy. But that little guy has like a whole saddle, and this one veggie pygmy is in the saddle,
Hey, lichen salamander.
He's lichen salamander. Yeah, that works. And he is kind of he has his back to you, right? And he is like he's calling out to like the group, not in a language that
I would cast comprehend languages so I could understand.
Okay, all right.
Of course, at this point, it's like everybody's like, hold up a sec, what's going on here? And then he'd cast the spell.
Okay. So hang on one second, let me look at one thing about these guys. That's not super helpful. So he is the one that, well, you don't know if it's male or female, or even if they have anyway, gender. Yeah. So they are calling out the one that's mounted on the back of that lichen salamander thing, is calling out and saying, as honor of our tribe, and as tradition, dictates and requires, we will cast this grung into the rift as sacrifice.
I basically am saying they're going to throw him into the lava.
And the grung that are around, who are playing the drums, their pace quickens on the drums, and they get this kind of almost like feverish look on their face, like they're really into this.
Hang on, Kashcah. Do there are pygmies playing the drums or the grungs?
Pygmies. It's one grung who has his like hands tied, right, and tied behind his back, and the rest of the group is veggie pygmies.
Okay.
Would any of us have any experience with veggie pygmies? Just to know their inherent nature, if they're like goblins, like if they're goblins where they're inherently usually an evil culture, or if perhaps we might recognize these guys in some similar way.
Make your history check. See if you've heard about this during your travels.
Sure.
Or if you want to go for like knowledge nature, that's fine as well. One of those things.
I would have gone for nature. I don't know what I rolled, so even though I clicked it. Sorry. Yeah, not much better apparently. Okay.
You have never heard of anything like these little guys that you see.
I don't know anything about these creatures.
They are small, by the way, just in case that wasn't clear there.
If they're friend or foe, and obviously they are planning on sacrificing that little frog guy that they've got. I have to say I've not had a good experience with the frog types before, but I don't know. I don't know that I could interfere with this.
I say, well, if it looks like a ritual, just let it be. I remember the frog guys.
I'd say, Gao, do you know anything about those mossy people?
Gao kind of like lifts one of his leaves up a little bit, and you see him squinting, and he's like, "No, what the hell are they?"
Right.
Ulfgar, you hear in comprehend languages, right? The grung. You scum! You absolute scum! You would sacrifice me! This will be war between our tribes! He's just yelling at them like, if you show me mercy, stop now! Yeah, he's getting into it.
Ulfgar would say, "Oh, he's very the sacrificial grung is very riled up. He's talking about war between tribes. Should they sacrifice him? He's giving him what for verbally. That's for certain."
I would chunk him in.
Thing is, even if we could save the little lad, I fear if any of us even touched him to try and save him, we'd all end up in a worse shape than he is. So
yeah. I would just best leave them to it. We're not here for their troubles.
Come here.
Do you think that they're the type that were living in the cave back there? Those sleeping mats that we saw, would they have been bigger than these veggie-pygmies and the grung?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, instead of saying what he just said, he would say, I don't think that either of these two would be that, because the sleeping mats seem a bit large for their like.
And you hear the drums are getting faster and faster.
So
and now some of the veggie pygmies are kind of wailing a little bit as well.
So if anybody doesn't want to see this, I suggest we move on quickly. They're about to...
I know. I want to watch him get tossed in.
actually wouldn't be surprised. Ulfgar's probably seen your tribe feast on people that have died before, so including those that may have been in your tribe in the past. So, but yeah, still trying to stay hidden. So
I'm just like slowly in toss him in. Toss him.
So this building here, does it have any special significance, or are they using it or anything, or are they just ignoring it?
They're just completely ignoring it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they're starting to try and drag, like the grung is now no longer walking of its own accord, and they're starting to try and drag the grung across the bridge. And the grung is like gone from kind of being in full anger mode to kind of panicking a bit now, and he's like, no, come on, no, please don't, and he's kind of pleading for his life a bit. He's like, you don't have to do this, and the veggie pygmies are now dragging him across the bridge, and their drums are like super fast at this point. A lot of them are kind of wailing, or singing alongside, and the guy that's on the lichen salamander just has this staff in the air, and he's just kind of punching the air. Yes.
Okay, tell me, Kashcah, how far are we from this scene?
So what, you are here? Is that right?
I was assuming that we were close enough that we could see over here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking probably about here-ish.
Yeah, so there you go. 160 feet.
Oops.
I whispered to Ulfgar, do you think that those little pygmy thingies, those little guys, will appreciate if I just go throw that grung into them?
There's will be no need, Valia, and I'm nodding to Arokh. And he proceeds to go around. Hang on, there's draft preempt. He proceeds to go through the bushes around here to the side of the cliff.
Ulfgar would say back to Valia while that's happening, he'd say, I think that they would mind. Remember, intruding upon certain ceremonies tends to do bad with different cultures.
I just wanted to throw him into the lava.
Oh, they'll do that. It would appear they're set on that.
So this bit here, right, is back up the cliff, if that makes sense.
Okay, so Arokh can fly, so...
Okay, alright, so he's gone back up the cliff. Alright,
he's going to try to, make his way up above unseen, if possible.
Okay, can you make a stealth roll for Arokh then?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Alright, they do not seem to notice. And as Arokh makes his way stealthily along this path that you've drawn out, the grung is dragged across the bridge. There are now like a few veggie pygmies standing on this little kind of plinth of stone out here. They are drumming very fast now in a like fever pitch, and there are the two kind of veggie pygmies without drums who drag the grung to the edge, and the guy on the lichen salamander is now standing very proudly on this bridge, and they kind of reach this fever pitch, and the grung is now thoroughly pleading for his life. And then you see kind of the two who are holding the grung, they each have him kind of by an arm, look back at the guy that's on the big lichen salamander thing, and he gives a nod, that's a very decisive kind of nod, and they chuck the grung off the edge. So you hear this wail as the grung kind of is flying through the air.
Did
What
Arokh
want to do? What's his goal?
if he managed to get to the side of the cliff just before the grug goes down, so he's going to attempt to grab him.
Okay. Then yep, he can jump, kind of fly off the edge of the cliff here. And you're pretty certain that the veggie pygmies who are not drumming will see him. Arokh's pretty certain that he's going to be seen at this point. Does he still want to go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then make a dexterity check to try and grab midair.
Hang on.
Need to look at the poisonous thing.
I'm just clapping real quietly and like, they threw him off, yay, and just clapping.
Okay, hang on.
Every time.
He's trying to grab for the rope if it's possible. Because he was tied up, right?
Yes, yep, he is tied. So Arokh does not grab him, right? He kind of makes a grab for him, and the grung is like flailing his legs around. His arms are still tied behind his back, but he's flailing his legs around and trying to grab him. And you can make another try because he's falling now towards the magma. So you could Arokh could dive after him, and and that time you grab him. However, you are going to need to make a Constitution saving throw because it's not going to be possible to grab only the rope. You're going to touch it. So what we said, he was a green grung?
If that's the weakest one, then yes. Whichever one does not paralyze. That's the color that he was.
Okay.
No, seriously, he's green. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we said he was a green one.
Yeah. I made the little character green that's currently floating in air.
So.
Wow. Mistakes were made.
So the grung is tumbling through the air, right? And Arokh manages to kind of grab a hold of him with his claws. But Arokh feels the poison from the grung's skin kind of immediately hit, and spreads up his arms and legs. And he does succumb to that, which means that that he is not able to move except for it says, here's what it says. Poison creature can't move except to climb or make standing jumps. If the creature is flying, it can't take any actions or reactions until it lands.
Oh, okay. All right, so he's more just stunned than paralyzed. Okay.
Yeah. So, so what's happening? Okay, so that's what happens with Arokh. He becomes kind of like this stunned, dazed version of himself.
And they're going to crash onto the cliff.
So the veggie pygmies that were drumming on the little plinth of stone here are in such a fever pitch that some of them decide that the sacrifice is not great enough and that they should accompany the grung. So
seriously,
there are a couple of veggie pygmies that are caught up in the throes of this so heavily that they jump off the cliff
Wow.
into the ground.
Save them all, Arokh.
Say what?
Save them all, Arokh. They're excited.
The guy that's the two veggie pygmies who are holding on to the grung, however, see Arokh, and so does the guy who is on the back of the lichen salamander, and they call out, no! Ulfgar, you understand. What is this? No!
He's been seen, and some of them also jumped off. What the blazes? By the beard!
Distraction. Mass confusion.
By the beard, indeed.
I'm just clapping and said, "This is the best show ever."
I don't know what's right in this situation. What's Aelia's response in this?
Oh God,
I don't even know.
I think Aelia would have been in favor of kind of respecting, their traditions, maybe.
I don't know that she was with us when we first met the grung.
Yeah, she was not. No.
She probably would have been told about them from the multitude of Ulfgar stories.
Maybe. What is happening though is the two grung who, hang on one sec, not grung, the two veggie pygmies who were manhandling the grung off the cliff, now take out slings.
Oh, whoops. I thought that they were the two that jumped in.
No, it was the drummers who were
drummers are now.
Yeah.
Did they actually jump and they made it in, or are they like on their way down to landing on top of a rock?
Well, they're most likely not going to land on top of a rock. That would be pretty slim.
Right,
although, maybe I should roll a D100 and see. One of them might smack into a rock. Hang on one second. Okay, no, they don't. But Arokh sees a couple of veggie pygmies just fly by him, just through the air down towards and then
little veggie pygmy headbangers
wailing, and their arms are just waving wildly as they head towards their doom. They might be high, I'm just saying. So
fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, so the two veggie pygmy break out slings and attack Arokh, basically. So 1, 2. Wow, they're pretty good with those things.
Wow.
I'm not happy.
That's no good.
10.
They're attacking Arokh now. I don't know what to do with this. Can you call him back? What's he doing just flapping there? Does he know he's just a sitting duck?
Hang on for a while.
And you hear the veggie pygmy that's on the back of the lichen salamander guy shout, "Kill it!"
Oh dear, they've just given the command for all of them to attack him. Get him out of there. Ulfgar's getting a bit feverish with Tobias at this point.
Mm-hmm.
The grung is kind of squirming around. He seems a bit panicked, now this big dragon thing has him. He almost preferred the death by lava.
Right.
Arokh can't do anything, or he's just forced to glide?
Yeah, all he can do really is glide. He can't take any actions or reactions until you land. So it's a bit tricky because you've got to kind of...
I know he's high, I know.
Yeah.
Can he distinguish any place where he could land?
He could, he could go for like some of these rocks over here.
Okay, so he's going to try to land on those of this rock right here.
See what's wrong. Okay. Right. So he could, I'll say he could definitely glide down to there. The heat is pretty intense, but it does seem like it's stable ground. I think over here, is that where he's going? Come on.
Yeah, he's going to try to over here.
So you see, well, I don't know that you can see actually. If you guys are still over here, a little difficult to see. You saw Arokh swoop down. Then it's kind of difficult to see what's going on now because Arokh is quite a bit deeper in this rift and. Yeah. Yeah, the veggie pygmies are, some of them are still drumming, the ones with drums are still drumming, and the other three seem thoroughly distracted by Arokh. They're not paying attention to what's behind them at all. They just, their sacrifice has been stolen away from them, so they are. Now that a couple of them have chucked themselves off, there are 8 left. Yeah, 8. One of them being on the back of the Lycan Salamander guy.
How are you going to do this?
I'm just gonna run out screaming.
Hang on. I have an idea. Do you have major image? Yes, yes, you do.
You kept it after all?
Okay.
Gotcha. Sorry.
What I was thinking, you could major image can cast sounds, can project sounds. Try to make a roar in the pygmies language that says more. You don't need to reach to the lava, you need to reach to the pygmies. You are only casting a sound. You want...
Wow. God, you've gone to a very dark place, I'm just saying. All right, let's give the veggie pygmies a little roll to see if we're going to do 2 rolls, one for the veggie pygmies who are high and one for the ones who are sober. Yeah, intelligence investigation. Yeah. What would your DC be, by the way? Okay, so that. Okay. So the remaining drummers, right? There are 5 drummers left. 3 more. You see they kind of like tip their heads up to the sky while they're still drumming like crazy, and just run forward. They stop drumming, run forward, their arms kind of flailing out and leap off the plinth here. The 3 who are so there's 2 remaining drummers who have not kind of taken part in this. But there are the 3 kind of sober veggie pygmy, shall we say, and they kind of like look around, like they kind of look at each other. Yeah. That's it. So there's 2 drummers left, 2 guards, and the leader guy on the salamander. Okay. The 2 guards and the leader, the 2 guards kind of look at each other. They kind of like stop staring at Arokh. They kind of like look at each other and then look back at their leader. And their leader kind of falters, like he had his like staff in the air and he was like kind of, shouting, egging them on. He kind of falters and you see his staff like drop, and he's like, he looks around and he looks thoroughly confused. Just like you see him kind of like he nudges his salamander, and his salamander kind of starts backing up. So he had been on the bridge and he's now backing up onto the main chunk of land. So Ulfgar is backing up to be very, very close to you.
I'm gonna walk up. I'm just gonna kind of move up.
To the wave.
Oh, so Valia is just like no hiding anymore. Just
no. I see him backing up. I'm like, nope, you're going the wrong way. So I'm just gonna go up at the edge where Ulfgar is.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. Can I? So he kind of the guy, the salamander guy. I think he's done. He's like hiding behind. So the guy that's kind of backing up on the salamander pretty much bumps into you. He's so confused at this point that his salamander pretty much bumps into you, Valia, if you're just kind of like standing there blocking his path, and he turns around like on his salamander, and his salamander turns as well, and Ulfgar, you understand what he says, but he is talking in his own language, which is actually their own language. And he screams out, "We are betrayed!" And he will, he's just gonna run, basically. He kicks, his salamander, kind of spurs him on, and he's going to try and run past you.
I'm going to try to grab him off the salamander.
Okay. All right. Make an attack roll.
Grab it.
Is it the, I guess, what, is that a melee? I have a claw. Hold on. I guess that'll work, right? As I thought I had a claw one, but I guess it's the bite.
So these guys are like way slipperier than you thought, and they smell really weird as well now that he's up close. They have this like really bizarre moldy smell to them. And you have him, and then he just kind of like squishes through your hand and kicks his salamander to continue scooting past you.
I'm like, he's slippery. He's getting loose.
What are the rest of the pygmies doing?
So the two guards, the two remaining drummers are just, they're high as kites, right? They're just drumming. And the two guards are kind of like, they see their leader making a run for it and try to follow. It's either that or the lava, right? So they're gonna try and bust a move as well past you, Valia.
I'll try to grab both of them again.
Okay. They are small. So probably doesn't help with trying to grab them though. Okay, you've got one of them.
I guess, can I see if I can grab the other one with the other?
Damn.
Sure. Yeah.
He
Nope.
slipped.
Didn't get the other one.
I got one, so I'm just gonna start walking up to the.
Oh, you're walking up to the.
Yeah, I'm just gonna walk up to the top. Yeah, Aelia's probably like, "Don't you throw him over that!"
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Aelia would be not too happy about this arrangement. Yeah, she will say to you that he doesn't need to die, that they've learnt their lesson, and we shouldn't have been interfering in their rituals anyway.
I'm like, I agree, but lava.
Ulfgar says, "Put it down," and he stands up. Let it go.
I'm at the top of the bridge, like in the middle. I'm just
He
like,
says,
fine. I throw him like towards the
Towards the what?
the drummer guys on the.
Oh.
I throw him
Arokh's,
up there.
he says, Arokh's fine now, so we're okay. And
Okay. So the guys who are drumming are kind of like beginning to slow a little, like it's like they're getting tired, you know. And so there's now 3 of these veggie pygmies standing on this plinth. 2 of them are drumming, kind of it's getting a little more clumsy, and you can see that they just kind of seem tired. And then the one guy is he has taken like this defensive stance. He has his sling out, and they're very simple, right? They're not like carrying any extensive weapons. They barely have any clothing on. You know, they're yeah. They've just got this. He's just got a sling, basically.
Alright, I'll just walk back down the bridge.
How's Arokh looking?
Yeah, how's the Arokh looking?
Arokh is looking like he is very toasty. I take it when he landed, he let go of the grung.
Mm-hmm. And how is he fine with this? The
Or
grung?
does he let go of the grung when he lands?
Pretty much.
Okay. So the grung kind of backs up. He's still got his hands tied behind his back, and he kind of backs up against the cliff, like as far away from Arokh as he can get without actually stepping into the lava. And it will take, I think the poison lasts for a minute. And then Arokh can kind of shake it off and regains, all movement and actions and everything. So Arokh is now free to move. He's perched on this rock fairly close to the lava. It's very hot down there, with a very frightened grung who is also sweating from fear and from the heat.
Okay, fair enough. Arokh is trying to communicate by gestures, just shaking his head that he will not try to attack him yet.
Okay, the grung kind of still looks cautious, but relaxes a little bit.
The grung is still tied up, right?
Yes. Do grungs speak? Hang on, let me check their languages. They do not speak common. The grung is babbling away. He starts kind of talking, and then it's like the floodgates open, and he's just babbling like non-stop now. This little froggy voice.
Okay, Arokh is dragging one of his claws along the rock, signalizing cut. At least he's trying to signalize the cut.
The grung's eyes get really wide, like, oh my God. Clutches at his neck. He looks a little afraid.
How accurate do you think Arokh is with his breath attack?
Oh. I mean, how many legs does a grung need, really? The grung is not understanding that. The claw on the rock is trying to say that it would cut his ropes.
So he will not cooperate.
Well, he's not exactly doing anything either. He's just kind of standing there babbling right now, tied up on an island in the middle of a lava pool.
If a grung could cry, he would be crying.
Oh, so sad.
He's had a very stressful day.
Arokh won't risk touching the grug again. I don't think grug will be going anywhere time soon. So he just kind of scouted the area near the cliff where the pygmies were. If they can, he can see what's going on there, or
Yeah.
it's
you see Valia was standing on the bridge. She had a pygmy in her hands, and then Arokh sees her chuck the pygmy down on the ground, and the pygmy kind of gets up and runs away.
Okay, he is going to take off and proceed towards the rest of the group, leaving the group behind for the time being. I don't think he will be going anytime anywhere soon.
True that.
Okay, yeah, you can rejoin the group. So everybody's kind of gathered here by the bridge again.
Are you okay, Arokh?
I've seen better days.
So are you thinking it a good idea to leave that little guy on that little rock out there?
He will not be going anywhere anytime soon.
Aye. Still, I think it might have been better to just drop him into the lava than leave him to fester there.
Yeah, but I think we got ourselves a guide on the Omo the
Oh,
other way.
yeah, do you want to bring him back?
But the main concern is if he will be cooperating.
Well,
Eric,
He don't seem very he seems very restrained at the moment.
why don't you take well, if you'll give me a ride, I know you always tell me that you're not my personal taxi, but if you take me out there, I can talk to.
Yeah, I would prefer something to cover myself if I want to take him elsewhere.
I say leave it. Those things are bad.
But that's just cruel.
Technically, we messed up their ritual.
I don't think we did. We just encouraged them to fully participate. Still, though, if we're to get that little guy off there, I don't think he's going to want to pick a fight with us. I'm pretty sure that we could put down some kind of cloth or something. Let's actually take a look and see what I've got in my inventory.
And you might just need Valia or I to go out there with you so we can talk to it.
Okay, hop on my bag and strap on.
Okay. I'll go with you.
And we're proceeding to the grog again.
Okay. So you swoop down. As you are flying down, you can see quite clearly as you get closer, this building here that's perched on this outcropping, and that, by the way, this here, hang on, let me just this way, yeah, is about 200 feet from like the level of this to the lava is about 200 feet. So it's a walled ruin overgrown with palm trees, and it's perching on that column of rock there. There are worn steps that you can see ascending to an archway, but that's all you can kind of see from this far away. So then you swoop down and you see the grung is trying to move, he's just looking for any path up that he can. He's trying to make his way up, and it's very it's not being very successful, right? Because he's got his little hands tied. He can't really. He's jumping, right, and he has a significant jump for this little guy, but there's nothing really that he can grab onto, so he's kind of jumping and smacking into the rock and then sliding back down again, and it's just really pitiful.
Okay, now go talk to him.
All right. So I'm gonna cast Speak with Animals. And that works on grungs, right? Because he's an animal.
We are about to find out.
Okay. So I cast it and I say, "Would you like some help?"
He kind of you see its head whip around, and looks back at you, and he starts. Oh, wait, hang on. Can you understand what they say back?
Usually.
Should be able to, because we were able to talk to the grung.
Yep, comprehend and verbally communicate. Okay, so he is talking very rapidly. The big one tried to eat me. The others tried to throw me in the lava. I just want to get out of here. Can I? But my hands are tied. I can't. I'm jumping, and this isn't. And he's like babbling, you know.
I'm like, calm down, calm down.
Tell him to shut his mouth.
He tries to eat me. He tried to eat me.
He's not trying to eat you. He was trying to save you from the lava.
But he did the mark. He says, "Do you see that mark? That was his claw in the rock. He's gonna cut my throat."
Nope. He's not gonna cut your throat. He's not gonna cut your throat. I won't let him cut your throat.
Look at the claws. Oh
So, do you want to get out of this hole?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I know that you're poisonous, so I'm gonna ask you to hop into. He's pretty small.
Yeah, he's a small.
Hop
That's
into
small.
my bag, and we will fly you out of here, and then I will cut your bonds, and you can go.
Can you cut my bonds first? He says.
Sure.
Okay. He
I'll
kind
go
of
cut his
like
bond.
he turns around. He's got his little hands out behind his back. You know, he had to cut his bonds and.
I cut it with. Try not to touch him though.
Yeah. You can use your scimitar to kind of saw through them a little bit, and the rope comes through, and he's like rubbing his wrists. Oh, thank you, and he's looking around, and he says, "You want me to climb in the bag?"
Well, you can't touch us because otherwise you'll poison us.
He says, "Yes,
Okay.
we know."
Yeah, well, if you don't want to end up in the lava, then you should get in the bag and don't touch it.
So he kind of like
touchy.
So it's a backpack. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I just want him to get in my backpack.
Okay. So he kind of like he climbs in, like you're holding it out, or like you
I'm
set it down?
holding it out for him to get in.
Okay. He kind of climbs in. He's got his arms like tucked like this, like he's like trying his best not to like touch anything, and he's standing there, and like his feet in the backpack. The backpack comes up probably to about waist high on him.
I tell him to just hold on to the back part of the backpack, and I will hold the backpack in front of me so that we don't accidentally touch him.
Okay. And he kind of crouches down, he shimmies his butt like down into the backpack, and he's kind of crouched down and he holds on to it like he's just like embrace position, you know.
I kind of hold him out in front of me, and then I awkwardly try to climb back on a rock.
So you've got like a grung and a baby Bjorn now, is that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
New pets, yes.
Jeez.
All right. So yeah, you can do this without touching the grung, and hop back on Arokh.
And then I ask him to, Arokh, can you fly us back to the others, please?
Zip in tight.
All right.
And we're off.
Okay. So swoop back up. Yeah, Ulfgar and Valia. This is like might be one of the funniest things you've ever seen. A half elf with a grung and a baby Bjorn on the back of Arokh flying towards you. It's good.
Once we land, I climb off of him, and then I put the backpack down on the ground so he can get.
Okay. Yep, he wriggles out, steps out of the backpack, and does this kind of like little bow, thank you, and then runs off.
Well, that went well.
Like, I told him to zip in tight.
Could have gone better. Could have gone better.
I just pick up a rock and throw it at him as he's running away.
Make a ranged attack.
Question is, are you trying to hit him or just throw it in his direction?
It doesn't matter. Oh, we'll just use a. I'll use a crappy javelin actually that I have, just a crappy wooden one.
Okay.
I can't hit nothing today.
It's a good thing you weren't trying.
It's like, get out of here, stupid frog people, mossy, slimy things. I'm just like kicking rocks. I'm gonna walk, just like walk over here and sit next to this building.
I think, yeah, I mean, you're so surprised by his little warty bum running past that the javelin just goes wide. And...
I take it all the rest of the veggie pygmies just kind of ran past, and that was it.
Yeah, because there were two that kind of snuck past Valia, and then the one that Valia had, she kind of
Which way
threw
did
on
they
the
go?
ground. They went
Into the underbrush.
They went kind of this way.
Did you want to continue?
Nope, I think we need to wrap it up there. So yeah, the grung runs in the same direction. Just the last thing you guys see before we wrap up the session is little warty grung bum running away. He's also, they do this kind of leapy run, where they got these big long leaps in there, and he just runs away into the city.
Okay.
And there we go.
That was absolute crazy. Nerevar telling Ulfgar to get them to throw themselves off. That
was dark.
That was dark.
Creatures you've never met before, and you're like, just go die.
Well, they started attacking. They started attacking him, so
Yeah, of course they could refuse, but if they are devoted to their god so much, they are willing to kill themselves. So yeah, go ahead, go. Be on your way.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks players. Thanks viewers. We'll see you guys next time.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.